opinions on the matches. Rich, what do you have for us?
Hiya, folks. Oh, well, just want to see how this plays out. I think RS and TMC are very even and both flying flankers. You know, it's one thing to fly them, but also to watch other teams, employ your baby. It's going to be very interesting.
Mm. Flanker's an interesting aircraft this year. Perhaps a bit of an underdog. I mean, obviously, I think people are expecting 51st to fly their flanker as well. And, no one expects that a pilot's going to bring an aircraft they're unfamiliar with into the fold. But we've seen some really impressive action out of some of these FC3 modules. In fact, yesterday at Airshow Stream, thank you for the follow, Airshow. Good luck to TMC and RS. In Airshow Stream, we saw some F-15s really wipe the floor. It was incredibly impressive how capable Alamo was when employing those F-15s. We've seen a lot of FC-3 planes do well. Some of the flankers may be taking the cake for the lowest expectations, highest performance, especially with the December update to the R-27, ER, and ET. As a flanker pilot yourself, I'm sure that makes you happy, but are you expecting to see any more long-range shots trying to get home on jam, considering the proliferation of electronic countermeasures in some of the flanker models, or are you thinking that these pilots are going to go ahead and continue saving their missiles and trying to have more guaranteed closer-in kills, higher kill probability?
Well, absolutely. The opportunity to make a first kill before the fight even started is one that I think personally is worth a missile. Especially when you're kind of flying heavy fighters that have a lot of weapons on tap. Basically making a fight 6 versus 5 from the onset before you even get in and get started. That's just worth it no matter how you slice it. And like again, the flanker, it's very good at close range as well without needing to expend medium range missiles with its 73s. You don't really get to use those until you're kind of getting close anyway. So but that's it. All depends if the bandits are jamming. Definitely gives you an advantage, but if they just elect not to jam, then it does make your life a little harder. But yeah, it all comes down to the opponents, really.
Indeed. Now, on the opposite end of the equation, I think the aircraft we've seen perform the worst this year has probably been the F-14. Are you expecting to see any F-14s today out of either teams? And if so, what are some tactics that you'd like to see employed by these Tomcats that we've sort of seen not employed in the past?
So yeah, Tomcat's obviously a hard sell since it's kind of been declawed. Team-wise, I think TMC tend to run a Tomcat now and again, and I think we've seen a Tomcat from RS before as well. But tactics-wise, again, I'm not too researched in the Tomcat since it's had a lot of changes, but I think the 40-50,000 sort of Phoenix at very long range, much like some of the shots by DS Player last year, is still on the table, especially against jamming targets, which will actually correction on that, because I know the F-14 now has jam effects, so again, home on jam shots are now off the table, at least for the super long range. So yeah, I don't know. It's what I want to see. I want to see some teams able to work that now, with all the changes and make them to good use. Because yeah, I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's actually a fantastic point that you've brought up, which is altitude. And everybody knows the concepts of energy management, right? Having more energy means a more higher likelihood of winning. That was the worst way of saying that. I'll try again later. But we have seen, especially yesterday, we finally saw somebody use insane altitude. We saw a couple weeks back with 51st as well, using that insane 40,000, 50,000 feet of altitude to really get range out of their missiles. And I think that's where I would like to see the Tomcat as well. I hope to see a Tomcat today, and I hope to see it at that altitude, because those missiles can at least get people maneuvering, get people reacting. But 30,000 feet, that Tomcat just doesn't have the range it used to anymore. I mean, I know I've use the Tomcat myself, and 60,000 going Mach 1.6 is a blast, and you might overextend yourself that way if you're not careful. But your missile can certainly tear out, and having those 2 players in 1 jet does allow for a little bit better situational awareness, and perhaps somebody acting as a GCI. This is something I've said in the past in Airshow stream a couple weeks back, but I really do hope that some of these teams have a sort of shot caller to try and get their positioning best that they can. And watching positions unfold live is, of course, very interesting as different players try to get to different positions for the best case they can get. Now, with the full flanker squadron, we know that you guys are somewhat limited in your formations, and you like to hold those close to your hands. So I won't ask you for what formations you would like to put out. But, assuming you've got an even mix of some F-15s or F-18s, some Su-33s or 27s, what's a formation that you'd like to see from one of these groups today?
That's a difficult question because there's a lot of different ways to play this. It really comes down to what the teams have, trained and sort of where they are. At least, like what's their theory on BVR. I know some teams like to go nice and low and play the notch game, while some like to stay nice and high and, do more of the high altitude stuff. But I think a good wall would be a good watch. Just, high fast wall with actives and just press. But again, to see that, it really depends. It's not really something that's right or wrong. It just kind of depends on what the teams are willing to do.
Indeed. Well, and you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the map that we're fighting on today. Now, of course, we're all familiar with the Caucasus map, the most common map people have, perhaps because it's free. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to ask an expert. Now, for those of you who are just showing up for your first SATAC match day, this circle you see in the center of the screen now, even if you might have some difficulty seeing it down here, is a circle which players must stay inside. If one team is inside without contest for 5 minutes, they are the winners. This forces people to get in close, no long resets. Now, there are many different ways that players can try to maximize their efficiency in the zone with fuel, positioning, and missiles to maybe get a less grand slam of a victory, but typically the aggression from the other team does make that a bit difficult, although I think we almost did see a fuel starvation match last week. Was it? Yes, I believe. But the players will have to stay inside this circle. Now, the area and topography does definitely matter, especially considering that the high peak of the Caucasus regions at 17,000 feet is in play today. This is the same zone that we saw yesterday in Airshow stream with different weather settings. If you were to put your wall in here, Rich, where would you come from? Because my thoughts would be that I really like to be on the red side here, able to fight away from over the top of the mountains. I know that mountains can be great for defending into, but with the clouds and the overcast and rain, I would be very concerned that I was going to end up flying myself right into a mountain. So I would want to come from the red side and almost avoid the mountain entirely, which would bunch my formation up a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Well, if we take the wall suggestion with altitude and speed, high energy, I'd actually want to be over the hills or the mountain in this case, just to deny the other team that advantage and have them sort of laid out in front of me over flat land. Because if that game plan does break down, at least then you've got the mountains below you, and hopefully your enemy is also in front of you, not able to also take advantage of the mountains because, well, you've kind of claimed that territory of the bubble.
That's a fair point.
Either way, it all depends.
Yeah, now you say that, and I'm wondering if there is a sort of a sneaky bonus if you claim most of that mountain range and you're up at 40, 50,000 feet where you've got more than enough room to maneuver before even getting close to the mountain peaks, never mind the valleys. if you could try to trick the opposing side, the other team, into getting themselves way too low, letting them take that low ground to try and defeat missiles and end up using up all their energy, if that would be a fantastic way to come in and clean up, which we've seen before with groups that can stay high versus groups that have to expend all of their energy. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's go ahead and take a look at our team compositions as the players start loading in. Oh my God, Rich, it's happened. We have a new aircraft today on the field, the MiG-29.
Oh,
Hello. We have not seen the MiG-29 yet, and I am unfortunately bemused to say that I think I don't have the skin installed for the MiG-29.
And
That's never good. It is indeed the one and only Matty. Look at that beautiful bird. Jesus. Well, we haven't seen this today. Now, it's got something unique on the red side, else than the J11. As you guys can see there, it only has two, well, we assume a mirrored payload. It does not have a mirrored payload. It has one R-27ER, one R-27ET, and four R-77s. Now, the ER and ET, the ER is a Fox 1. It is a semi-active radar missile. The ET is a Fox 2. It is an infrared-guided missile. But the 77s are the closest answer to the AIM-120 that the Russians have. It is an active missile, which means that it doesn't need a radar guidance all the way to the target. Does that mean it's a better missile? Well, not necessarily, but it does open up some different employments. Who else do we have here? We have a pair of F-18s. We have a J-11. Oh, I think I have incorrectly installed all of the RS skins, which is quite annoying as they were working not long ago. We have a J-11, an F-16C, an Su-33, and a MiG-29S. What has TMC brought, and who has TMC brought? Well, it looks like a full TMC lineup here. We've got a JF-17, of course, a J-11, an F-16, and two Tomcats. That's now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the rules, any Tomcat pilot has to have a human Rio. They cannot use Jester. So,
correction on that. That was for the knockouts forward.
That's for the knockouts. Got it. Well,
so group stage, you can have a Rio if you'd like, but just for to allow as many teams to compete without needing to field Tomcats start throwing into the mix. Now you're looking at 6+ pilots on match day. Just to allow teams to kind of get their footing. We only enforce the Rios in the knockouts forward with when the day link in the light ATC is in play.
Gotcha. Well, two Tomcats. Now, as we've said before, we're really hoping to see these Tomcats go up nice and high. What are you expecting? We've got Kingston and Death Angel in the two Tomcats. I'm unsure if they have Rios.
Well, like I say, I'm not, I know the capabilities of the Tomcat, but in how to employ them best is kind of a grey zone for me. Outside of flying high and just hoping to get a first pass hit on something, I'm not too sure, but that's it. There can be countless things, but the more time you put into an airframe, you kind of figure out different roles, so we'll see.
Rich, I'm taking a look at something here. I'm seeing TALDs on this Tomcat. I'm seeing 4 actives, as the rules are.
Yep.
But I'm seeing 2 TALDs. I wonder if that's going to be the plan for both of them. I'm interested to see how they are loaded up. The other Tomcat hasn't put any ordnance on. Please remember before taking off, but I think he's got some time.
All right, decoys in play. Interesting.
Decoys in play.
People have been kind of sleeping on the decoys, I feel, because they're definitely something that you're free to use in whatever manner you wish. I think we did have one team employ TALs, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't come to me right now, but with people kind of being over-reliant on, seeing, what the radar shows them. Okay, I've got 6 bandits here. I see the whole picture. Throw 1 or 2 decoys in there, and that adds, 10, 20 seconds of, decision-making.
Confusion and thinking,
pilot.
indeed. Well, as Airshow's saying in chat, a MiG-29 and TALDS, this match is going to be quite interesting. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing here, RS is definitely employing some interesting tactics. I'm excited to see how they let this unfold. Their lead Hornet right now, no tanks. Has a centerline tank, no wing tanks.
I got a feeling they're going for the... Well, I know Maddie from House of SAR, the recent event that went through. Yeah, he put the MiG into a very interesting, how to put it, flight envelope, I guess. I think he's going to be up high and fast with those 77s and just raining on down. But we'll see. Maybe something less aggressive, perhaps. But yeah, definitely a wild card to be sure.
Yeah, indeed. I did Squid, I apologize to all of the RS members. I did install the RS liveries. I don't know why they aren't working. They were working before I joined the server. I checked them both. They were working. They look great. I don't know where they went. Perhaps maybe between rounds I can try and sort that out, but seems unlikely. So I do apologize. I've had them installed for 2 weeks, and they just disappeared. Is Maddie flying? I trust Maddie. Maddie is flying. Maddie is, of course, the absolute legend, taking out the MiG-29. Now, these starting lineups on the airfields, they can tell you a lot about a team's plan. A little bit, you know, not a lot maybe. Maybe you can't read the full book until it's in front of you. We're seeing a lot of lined up aircraft. Now, we're seeing a couple side-by-sides, but a lot of planes in a direct line, which means I'm expecting to see significantly staggered takeoffs from Red Star. It looks like they want their aircraft to take off maybe in a fuel-efficient manner. They're going to have their F-18 and Su-33 perhaps take off first, although who knows, the Su-33 has decided it doesn't need all of its wing space. Perhaps followed by the second F-18. Oh, did this Hornet change its loadout? No, it did not. And looks like maybe the J-11 MiG-29 followed last by Please Don't Shoot Me in the F-16C. This doesn't look like a tight formation takeoff. It looks like we're going to be seeing RS somewhat conga line their way into the play zone. Not the worst idea, but it won't be some of the formation work we've seen out of some other teams. Are you expecting something else, Rich?
Well, it's kind of hard. You know, some teams from takeoff, they immediately start getting into a formation, which, I don't know, everyone has their thoughts on things. I feel like that's kind of showing your hand a little early. Sometimes you can do that and things will just work out fine. But with the kind of conga line departure, it can be either way, you know. It can be, you know, okay, we're just going to go in a long trail. Or, you know, once they hit the bubble, they'll start to deploy something. So, again, it's all to be seen, really. It can go either way.
Yeah. Well, like we just talked about the RS Loud lineup, let's talk about the TMC lineup. They've got their two Vipers up front. Now, this could be a bit similar to the formation, well, not the formation, the playbook we saw yesterday with Alamo having their Vipers run down center. Looks like their two Tomcats once again lined up back-to-back, so looking at a staggered takeoff probably means they might... I'm expecting with this loadout to see one Tomcat flank on each side, trying to box in, almost emulate what Alamo did yesterday with the F-15s, and I think it's certainly possible. They've also got their Jeff and the Su-33. It almost seems like we're looking at maybe two conga line entrances into the play zone, or perhaps both teams are looking to really spread out and they want to launch in the way that allows them to spread the best. Looks like both teams are full up and ready on the lot. We'll give them the last couple seconds they need to get themselves sorted out for takeoff, but I'm excited. I want to see some great plays out of the MiG-29. I don't want to show favorites, but seeing an aircraft like the MiG-29 that I think is even more of an underdog than something like the J-11, the Su-33, or an Su-27, because it's got limited fuel and limited missiles. I want to see something fast. I almost expect Maddie to be, like you said, high, fast, in a unique envelope, and just punishing pilots, because he doesn't have a lot of time in that circle, not compared to other aircraft like the Tomcat and the Su-33 and even some of those double or triple bagged F-18s.
Yep. I don't want to put the
The
pressure
Vipers,
on Maddie, but I think you'll possibly get your wish here enough.
I think that that's almost the only way to employ the MiG-29, and I kind of had an inkling we'd see a MiG-29 today from conversation with Red Star in the past, and I'm glad we did. I'm very excited to see it, and I want it to be used in the best way that it can. Double check. Whoops, I can't spell. Are the teams ready?
Currently no ready calls from either team. It seems like they're still getting in position, but we should have something here shortly.
Oh my god, Squid with the 10 gifted subs. Well, normally I shouldn't thank, but I'm going to have to say thank you for the 10 gifted subs, Squid. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody who gets one of those subs does enjoy it. Out of nowhere, indeed.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated.
So it looks like they're still... Oh,
looks like RS is ready.
RS.
Is TMC ready? Hopefully. Indeed, indeed. Let's see, maybe we can determine what's holding up TMC. I'd like to see what Death Angel went on with for his... TMC is ready. All right.
There you go. Send him off, Nuff.
Get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fights on. I can't spell. Should have that copy and paste ready. We'll get that sorted out next time. All right. Who's going to be taking off first?
Okay, single F-18 from RS running down the runway. Interesting.
Interesting. TMC not taking off. Oh, there we go. Viper's rolling. 2 ship out first.
Interesting. Wonder what that delay was. Intentional?
Me too. Let's see what our good friends over at RS are doing. 2 Hornets up first. J11 looks like, okay, they're definitely going with single takeoffs. Somewhat staggered. Hopefully no one catches some wake turbulence. J11 is airborne. Starting to wiggle on the runway a bit. I was concerned.
When you got a minute enough, have a look at RS Fruitcake. He's got his jet.
I'll have to take a look, but...
oh no, when able.
When able, let's see here. MiG-29 left. And the F-16, those are the... I don't know if I want to call them fuel guzzlers, but they definitely are short-legged aircraft of the bunch. And the last one from RS rolling as the F-15. F-15, that is an F-16, roars overhead. Maddie, who I think everybody's expecting great things out of. Unfortunately, the pressure is on. Caught a bit of wake turbulence there. Oh, glorious. All RS airborne and a little bit of a conga line, and it looks like the same from TMC with tail and the J11 taken off last. Let's go ahead and take a look at the TAC view, shall we? Now, this is a system that we'll be using today to get a good idea about... Whoa. TAC view. Thank you. TACView has gotten itself quite confused. There we go. Good job, TACView. This is a system we'll be using today to get a good look at vertical disposition of teams as they get in and, well, they make their way through the soup and get into the more attractive clouds. Let's take a look at how they're flying out. Looks like our 2 Vipers kind of almost heading straight into the zone, but definitely canted off to the north. And it does appear to me that the Tomcats are taking separate directions. Death Angel staying low. I wonder if I can already take a guess. Well, let's go back to let's take a look at it in DCS. But I'm wondering if I can already take a guess about what TMC has done here. Now, Death Angel's ordnance will be the deciding factor. Indeed. Looks like the only Tomcat to have their TALDs is Kingston in his F-14. I think Kingston's going to get way high and is going to drop their TALDs, and I think they're going to try and make use of the mountain range that they have in front of them to get their TALDs almost to mask the fact that Mori and Death Angel and the JF-17 and the F-14 are going to be low, probably within the mountain range, trying to get a surprise on RS. What are your thoughts on that working, Rich?
Well, this is it. It sounds solid in theory, but it all depends on the opponent and obviously how well you can execute. Though yeah, pretty solid because again, a lot of teams are not very used to decoys being utilized. So if it can kind of catch them off guard if they haven't trained against that or haven't really got that in their game plan. So let's see how it plays out.
Indeed, although I don't know, maybe I'm taking it back. Looks like the F-14s aren't super low altitude. 20,000 is lower than we'd like to see, but that's not too low. Looks like Kingston is establishing themselves in 30,000 feet altitude. Oh, and it is gorgeous up here. Already supersonic in the Vipers. Viper's running triple bags. Now, that third centerline bag is a killer for the Viper. A lot of people will use that as a get-to-altitude bag because it just puts so much drag on the airplane. And they still got it, but I assume that as they get into the circle and they get the last ounces of fuel out of it, they'll get rid of it and get their speed back up. Good to see the AMRAAMs where they belong on the Viper, right on the outside pylons. Ooh, hi there, Mr. Pilot. Getting more altitude. These Vipers, we've seen them a little bit. They're a unique aircraft. They're not quite the air superiority aircraft that some of the other planes here are. Oh, we got a nice formation here out of RS, 32,000. Seems like both groups are kind of going for the same altitude, going straight in. We don't really see a lot of flanking around the circle like we've seen from some other groups. This Hornet is ready to kill.
TMC is making a play for the north here, while RS is electing to kind of just fly straight to bulls. If RS were trying to do some sort of pincer or a spread, a wide one, that can kind of be a good move to play. But it seems in the lack of that, TMC are deciding to fight over the flatland.
Rich, I think there's been a mistake. One of the Hornets only has 2 actives, but is using the pylons meant for 4. I don't think they fired off too early. I think they loaded the wrong weapons onto their aircraft. I'm going to have to ask that when we get to talking with them, because that is certainly a first for me. It looks like RS is going to be the first into the circle here.
Was that fruitcake?
Was that fruitcake? Oh, you know what? That was fruitcake. As you were saying, that is what you were saying.
He's elected to not take the Sparrows. Obviously.
Interesting. See, now if I was RS, I would have at least put, or if I was fruitcake, I would have put the single. Oh, these gorgeous clouds! I'm so glad that we got ourselves some new clouds here from Edie. I would have put at least the single AMRAAM, because you can mount just a single AMRAAM. You don't need to use those double racks, and those double racks do have pretty significant amount of drag. Oh, you used to be able to? They got rid of that.
I have, unfortunately.
You can tell I don't fly the Hornet enough.
I think the reason was, I think it was only a Super Hornet thing, and Edie elected to remove the feature, unfortunately.
I see. Well, let's take a look at the game plan here. TMC, you're right. They are making a play to the north. They are skirting, but they're on a time limit because they have 5 minutes to go in there and contest that zone. Otherwise, RS wins by default, although it looks like TMC Fresh and the Viper is going to be the first one in. Now, we see the altitudes we want to see here from TMC. RS, at 34,000 feet, it's okay. It's not the worst, but TMC has taken the sky at 36,000 feet. They are way up there, and it looks like everybody's up there. So perhaps not the trickery I was expecting to see. So we see the massive Phoenix missiles on those Tomcats. Now, this might be what we've been wanting to see out of these Tomcats. The battle area is contested. Now, they can't leave the circle from here on out. They are stuck in. Otherwise, that is a forfeit by that aircraft, if I'm not mistaken.
By death. You
By
explode.
death. By death. A forfeit by explosion.
Actually, well, correction. You are allowed to leave the bubble, but then you are not allowed back in. If you try and get back in, your aircraft will explode. And
Gotcha,
if,
gotcha.
obviously, your whole team has been shut down, then blue wins the bubble, let's say, for example, and then the round is over.
Well, once again, we're seeing RS is definitely electing to take a formation approach. This is not fighting wing. It's I'd almost even elect to call it maybe fingertip, but it's a wedge. So they're staying together. We'll see how that develops for them. And of course, I think everybody's hoping to see the best out of this boy. No one was really prepared to see the MiG-29, except of course RS. As you said before, we've seen great employments from Matty in the MiG-29 in the past, using his fantastic ability to get those Fox 1s out to their best range. Hopefully he'll be able to continue it, man. That MiG-29 does look good. Oh, just got to take in the beauty for a minute. All right, now the fight's developing. It looks like RS is continuing to come in straight in. Now they haven't... I'm sure they're all fenced in, but they haven't gone hot. They are almost skirting TMC here, with TMC tail still outside the flight zone, not in afterburner. Maybe looking to get some more altitude or speed before coming in. Perhaps a bit of a delay here. About 15 miles behind the leads, guys, though. It's quite a lot. And look, you know, it looks like, Rich, we're seeing what we wanted to see out of TMC here. We've got a nice wall formation coming in. Not the most even spread, but it definitely looks like they are all here and all ready to make the most out of their planning. The Viper's heading in first. No, maybe this isn't quite a wall. Maybe it was more of... It looked like a wall, but it looks like the Vipers are first in.
Yeah, those Tomcats are on a delay, because I think if they checked now towards the Bandits, you would have that sort of line, but it seems the F-16s are going to head in first, while the Tomcats are going to stay in the crank.
Oh, those TMC skins are nice and clean. I am so upset that I messed up getting the RS skins installed for this, because they also look fantastic. Now the player on... Oh, hold on. Kingston's done a switcheroo. The TALDs have been removed. Perhaps he was told off by himself, or perhaps he changed his mind that the TALDs are not an effective player killing weapon. All right, looks like RS continuing to hold a bit of a formation here. Once again, nobody's hot except for Aaron in the SU-33 versus Fresh and Dauber in the F-16s. Let's take a look at both of them and hope that TACView doesn't poop itself. It didn't. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, we've got these two Vipers in their spread. They're 30-some thousand feet. They are descending, but they're picking up a lot of speed. Still sub-Mach, but making their way up. Of course, Aaron in the SU-33 is a little bit lower, and descending maybe a bit faster, but both teams definitely looking at getting Mach, but they're really staying in that transonic region. Oh, we have the first maneuver here. A left crank, and it looks like the entirety of TMC fencing in here now.
Okay, we have a missile launch from the main RS group.
Oh, we do have a missile launch, an R-27ER. That is a long-range shot out of Matty, I believe. Indeed, it is out of Matty. Long-range shot. I wonder who that's tracked on. My goodness, that looks like... That looks like they're going for a 40-50 mile shot on that R-27ER. Aaron now headed south, skirting the F-16s that were sent out to deal with him first. And a second R-27ER, this one out of the J-11. Oh, they might be both out of Plasma. I forgot about that J-11.
Second ER from Plasma, first ER from Matty.
All right. Oh, missiles. First missile, first ER is definitely tracking something. 1 like equals 1 prayer for the ER. Hope it can track. Who's it going for? That's the question. Oh, it might have been defeated. It looks like it has either been defeated or run out of energy. And, ooh, we have returns. We have an AIM 54C Mark 47. Not the best motor. It's not the Mark 60, but it is still a good motor. In return, and an SD-10. Both of these missiles are looking good. They're fast.
SD-10 on Maddie looks...
Oh, Maddie. Oh, but Maddie is already defending that missile. Turning his energy, his potential energy, into kinetic energy. Getting that altitude dumped for speed in gate. Making sure he does not eat that return shot. The SD-10 is still tracking. Oh, boy. He's running. You can hear the jet noise. There he is. Ah, but he breaks away, and the missile just has no energy.
Oh, second
Good
SD-10 out
defense.
From, TMC. I hope someone doesn't turn into this hot.
Oh,
I think that's
no.
exactly what just happened with Plasma.
Oh,
ET
no.
Plasma.
Did Plasma just eat a missile from low Earth orbit? It's tracking. Oh, and Plasma's the first to go down. That is RS with the first loss. TMC first kill. Follow-up missiles are where? Oh, that ET is fast. That ET is so fast. In fact, I completely missed taking a picture of it. That was unfortunate. Another Phoenix. The Tomcats are doing a good job getting their Phoenixes out. Now this Phoenix, oh no, this is a bit of a concern. So that was a mountain. Bit of a slideshow? Oh, that is, yeah, that is unfortunate. We'll go back to just looking at DCS for now and hope that fixes the slideshow.
M120C on fresh, but he's also supersonic. I think he's going to get away, but he might need to put a few Gs on.
Oh, oh. Can he escape it?
I think, yeah,
oh,
defeated.
Completely
Close.
in the muck, though. Completely in the muck. Yep, missile is defeated. Who's back in, where, and how?
Got another Phoenix out of Kingston.
Kingston getting another Phoenix. We've seen a lot of Phoenixes. This is maybe the best use of Phoenixes, but TMC is low. Tail, J11, 2.4 as altitude. That's the lowest here. RS definitely high, including Finch, 9X,
they need to watch
with
out
all
for
his
that,
missiles, but one up at altitude and way in the back. The Su-33 is pushing in close.
You never want to put your tail to a flanker at altitude because he's going to start skating ETs on all your cold fighters. So when they turn back in, it's,
don't, and he's definitely still got 2 ETs left. Man, that is just an absolutely decked out 33. In fact, that 33 has not fired a missile.
Aaron is in a really good position to start shooting some ETs on cold fighters. If he's able to get those locks, I think we could see.
But he's got to work fast. Fresh, turned back in. Has an AIM 120 out for him.
Unfortunately, I think the opportunity is slowly slipping through his fingers. He does.
I think it's quite quickly slipping, but he's got a missile out. Now he's defensive and down.
Oh, yeah.
Is he gonna?
ET on Dobber. Dobber needs to stay cold now, or he's going. If he tries to turn in, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Is it a trade? 20 is looking good. Pull some Gs. Put some more G on. Put some more G on. Oh, not enough Gs. That is a second flanker down. And that ER is...
Oh, my mistake.
That ET is... It is an ER, isn't it? It is dead.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
That is unfortunate because that definitely had the speed required to catch Dauber. Had that been an ET...
Yeah. That was a good opportunity to employ an ET.
Well, now we've got a 6-on-4... But RS still has Finch back here. All his missiles, all his altitude. Looks like he could really come in and be the support that these guys that are down low need to get back in. Oh, Maddie low, though.
Kind of thinking outside the box here. I think RS might still have an advantage because they still have 2 fighters high and TMC are all clumped up down low. So if those 2 high fighters can make some good sorts, then I feel like we could equalize, or maybe even. I
think that Finch and Please Don't Shoot Me would be incredibly useful, and I think it's what we're seeing happen here. They're pushing in, allowing Fruitcake time to get back up to altitude, reset the fight. Maddie does not care anymore. He is going for blood against Mori.
Yes.
120C out from Fresh. Oh, is it going to track? Maddie fires and turns. A 77 out of Maddie. Does he have The speed, man, that missile is cooking it. It's tracking. Oh! Just barely dodges it. My God.
Oh, here we go. Please don't shoot me. And Finch, you're getting the 120s off.
Oof. The 120s are coming out. Please don't shoot me. Now avoiding returns.
Ooh,
Dauber
Dobber.
dodging fast. Does not make it. Oh. Not enough G's and not enough speed. That's a 16 down. TMC is now a 4v3. They did get a trade in there, but...
Yep.
The RS squadron. Oh, we have an ET out. And it's tracking.
Ooh,
and it's close. Oh, no. The flares are out, and the flares do defeat the missile. It craves the forbidden heat signature.
But R77 in the
oh, but he takes him out with a 77. Oh, my God. And I wasn't looking, too busy looking at the forbidden heat signature. We are now in a 3v3, and the altitude advantage continues to stay. Well, I think it's been neutralized. 77 out of Maddie. He's low. In fact, if anything, RS... Oh, no. Oh, no. Fruitcake. Oh, no.
I think it's okay. It's going into the lake. The AMRAM of the lake.
The AMRAM does want the lake. No, Fruitcake might be out of 120s at this point. We saw him... Yeah, Fruitcake down to only his heaters. He's going to have to go Brawl. Speaking of Brawl, Maddie low underneath the clouds.
Ooh, good.
Not very fast. 77s all off.
I think this is going to be...
Yeah. Oh, Maddie lost. But does he trade on fresh?